Elizabeth, this time of year, you and I quite often have this talk about breast cancer, and every year it seems that more and more women are getting breast cancer. 1 in 7 it is now. How frightening is that statistic?
Well, it's interesting because sometimes I think that there's huge changes being made in the breast cancer landscape, and sometimes you realise some things are exactly the same. So the good things, the changes are that treatments are so much better, they're so much targeted. Through research, so much more has been learned about the disease, and mortality rates have decreased by, I think it's 43% since the late 80s. However, what stays the same is that women are still getting diagnosed with breast cancer, and as you've just said, the statistic now in the UK is 1 in 7. So that hasn't changed. In fact, more people could be being diagnosed with breast cancer. And, you know, there's many reasons for that. It could be that more women are getting screened, more women are getting breast aware.
I was actually on my friend's Instagram yesterday. She's an Olympian. She's very fit, obviously. She was diagnosed with breast cancer at 29. That's so young. Is that unusual or not these days?
It is still unusual. It is still, you're more likely to be diagnosed when you're older, but there is a higher incidence now of diagnosis amongst younger women. And in fact, we work with an excellent ambassador at the Estée Lauder Company's breast cancer campaign. She's a young girl who started a campaign called Girls vs. Cancer because she was diagnosed very young at 31. And it's been incredibly interesting to hear her input on this subject, which isn't something that was really talked about at all. And, you know, Lauren said that when she was diagnosed, she said, "It's impossible, I'm too young." And that was very much, I think, how people very much viewed breast cancer, that it was for old people. And we know now that really is not the case at all.
Sadly, 31 women will still die every day from breast cancer. How disappointing is it when, you know, research is done, funds are created, drugs are found that can prolong life, and yet it always comes down to cost in the end. And quite often drugs are denied to women on a cost basis. And I'm thinking recently of Hurley, but there are others. How disappointing is that? You sort of feel like, you know, we're campaigning, but we're sort of slightly banging our heads against a brick wall sometimes.
Well, I think it's more than disappointing. I think it's outrageous that the drugs can't be available to any woman who would benefit from them just because of a cost. I mean, I think it's wrong, and I think I can't understand why that happens.
When you finish your Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I know you travel all over, you know, speaking the way you're speaking to me, do you feel positive and uplifted when it's finished? Do you think we are closer to a world without breast cancer or not?
I feel very uplifted when even one woman will come up to me and say, "I saw you on Instagram talking about self-checking. I checked, I found a lump, I went to my doctor, they're dealing with it." That's when we know our messaging is really hitting home. Does that happen a lot? It does happen a lot. I think it's still incredibly upsetting when we meet people who aren't responding to treatment. They will be in the statistic that don't make it. It's hideous. It's still as upsetting today as it ever has been. And it's still prevalent. So if it weren't for that, I suppose people would think job done. The job is so far not done. There's still so much to do. And it's a day-by-day thing. I mean, of course, it goes on 365 days of the year, not just in October. But it's very nice. I think Breast Cancer Awareness Month was an amazing thing to really focus the messaging and really hope that more people this year will listen and self-check.